Pure, unadulterated awe.
Katrina was heading our way.
As I looked out the windows, Katrina took down the dolmas off of the roof, and thousands of trees disappeared.
Down pine trees
Howling
and oak
winds
trees
shaking
everywhere.
your home.
100-year-old oak tree fell
Decade-old
over
pines
and
toppling as
all
if
the
they were
roots
merely
came up.
hollow and without
Hardly
roots.
any access to FEMA trailers or
Separated.
generators.
It seemed
Alone,
like
away
everything
from
was
the
going
family,
So many
wrong.
people.
needed them
All
more
the
than
sorrow
ever.
and
With
distraught.
no
Physically
electricity,
and emotionally,
Taking showers with a flashlight propped in the
temporarily and
corner.
in the
permanently.
brutal heat of
People had
August.
stayed too
Families
long
that were
to get
stranded
out.
on rooftops, huge losses and
Rising
devastation,
floodwaters in the Crescent
floodwater,
City.
and wind damage.
The destruction of my mother's yoga studio.
My mother's old house
This old building that we had.
that I lived in growing up.
Our apartment house in Mississippi was demolished.
Hurricane Katrina came in and just wiped the whole place out.
The house was made of cypress.
Becky died 6 years before Katrina.
Beyond repair.
Her house is
The
gone.
power of nature to clear everything in its path.
People's memories were wiped clear away.
What do you call it? I think it was just that.
I feel nostalgic.
I feel
I
sad.
do feel a sense of sadness because of what was lost in the storm.
I feel melancholy every time I think of Katrina.
I felt constant
I
melancholy.
find it hard to
That-
repress any emotion.
Melancholy
People
feeling.
I
mourned.
feel a sense of nostalgia.
Well, people remembered.
Recalling
Envisioning
my memories
When
When
of
I
think of
think
Hurricane
about
Katrina.
New Orleans
I
after
think
Katrina,
the
of-
good time. Every day when I go home, we still have a big old sinking part of our backyard where that 100-year-old oak tree fell over, and I used to play tag around it with my
When I
sister.
drive by that place,
You remember what happened.
I get flashbacks.
Before
Down
it,
pine trees and oak trees
and
everywhere.
you remember what
because of
happened
how much of my
after
childhood
it.
was spent.
And you
Decade-old
remember
pines toppling as
in
if
that
they
yoga
were
studio.
merely hollow
why
and without
it was
roots.
such a good time when it
so
was.
much history and fond memories of the past.
And I think that actually helped in a very positive
You
way.
couldn't call it a mourning either because the city had grown to be so resilient and has made leaps and bounds to overcome the difficulties since Katrina.
In the aftermath of Katrina,
Witnessing, experiencing, and recovering from the
You
destruction.
see where we
While
are.
Hurricane Katrina did take a lot from people.
It prospered so much growth and so much
Made
hope
Louisiana
for the
and its
future.
residents far more fortitudinous and appreciative of the progress we have made.
Appreciate what matters most.
Katrina made us all
Could lose it all
stronger.
at any moment.
Those who survived it.
Pure, unadulterated awe. Awe not only at the power of nature to clear everything in its path, but also awe in the ability of a state to emerge from such a disaster with as much vivacity and stoicism as Louisiana
the
has.
people,
We
the
rebuilt.
economy,
Rebuilding and
in almost
With
every aspect
every
of life.
clearing the
aspect.
streets of my neighborhood. And
Kept
We
going.
saw
For
The
months.
stories of charity and
Excelled
service,
during a very stressful
basically
time.
a city
loyalty and
Worked long
love
days and nights and
Be
provided help and
reborn from the
inspiration to those in
ashes.
need.
were
Truckloads of
inspiring
food, water, and supplies.
and as beautiful as Katrina
Saved
was
over
ugly.
200 people, bringing families that were stranded on
That brought
rooftops
out
to
the
safety.
good in everyone, and people were so open and connected.
Katrina showed us that our country is full of angels.
And it was a melancholy feeling, but they remembered and melancholy together.
with the
My
family,
family and
My
I
brother, sister, father, mother,
playing
and I
board games,
took time out of our
lighting
day.
candles.
My
That was
sister.
our source of light.
I don't think New Orleanians could ever forget the bad of Katrina, but I think the good nostalgia is what filled people with so much pride to continue to endure and rebuild.
Without that melancholy feeling that we had, I don't think we would have had that strong of a response.
It's still a source of pride.
and I'm proud.
So
That
thankful.
sense of hope.
Somewhat sad, but mostly proud
That
about.
joie de vie of the Big Easy.
It's just something that
Continued to stand the test of time.
The sun comes in many different forms.